सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
Bare Knuckle Bhakti presents The Gift of Desperation, a Bhakti recovery podcast. This is a 12-step based Bhakti-oriented space. Here we share our experience, strength, and hope in the spirit of recovery from addictions and associated behaviors. Welcome.
Hello, Anjali. Take two. I'm so glad you made it. So this is a great. I'm so glad you came, and we've been talking beforehand, so we're warmed up, and I'm really happy that you came. You're such a special person with a lot of hope and experience and strength, and you know, Anjali's been part of the Bhakti Recovery Group for the last 3 years or so. Her main thing is food and codependency. And I don't think we've had many people with just the food addiction. So I'm just going to jump right in. Welcome, Anjali. Hi.
Hi. Well, let me start first off and say I'm not just the food addiction either. Okay. When I go into the Bhakti recovery, I say hi, Hare Krishna. I'm Anjali, ACA, so adult child of an alcoholic, CODA, codependent anonymous, so ex people pleaser or people pleaser in recovery, and overeater, and then of course, spirit soul. So yeah, so I got a good combo deal here. You got the combo deal.
Good. You got the combo deal. So if you get bored of working on one thing, you can just flip to the next. That's what happens to me. I'm like, oh, I'm bored of working on this one. Let me work on something else.
Well,
so I'm really pleased that we actually had the talk beforehand, because now we're like, and this is what I've noticed in almost every interview that I do. Around a half an hour in, it starts to get real, because we start to focus in on the, well, I wouldn't like to say meat, but on the tofu of on the main dish of our, of what we're doing here. So
good. We're in the thick tempeh stuff. All right.
Exactly. We're in the tempeh of it. Like you had said, the beet and cheese burrito, which is one of my favorite foods on earth. So, you were raised Catholic. You were raised very Catholic. That's what you have told me, and in a very like higher rankings, disciplic succession of Saint Francis lineage, right? And you found Bhakti in college. What made you go to Bhakti, and what happened on that journey? What were you looking for that you found Bhakti, or were you not looking?
I knew I was looking for an answer. And my question to God, because like you mentioned earlier, I was raised Catholic, Christian, but I was raised Catholic Christian in Panama. Okay. So being raised in Panama, the slogan that they had for years was Panama, center of the hemispheres, the heart of the universe. And thanks to the Panama Canal, all of these cultures have blended in. Okay. So I was raised in a culture where Sundays, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., here you are in Catholic Mass, and you can tick down your clock that the moment that you get the sacred sacrament and you, peace be upon you, brothers and sisters, you're about to skedaddle out of the door within 15 minutes. You can count on it. And the moment that everybody would walk out the door, everybody, of course, in their best Sunday dress, you head out to your local witch doctor, your babalo, your santero, grab the lottery numbers that would be good to you, and then play the 3 o'clock gordita lottery. Okay. And when I tell you that in my own family, yeah, great uncle that was, the main priest for the St. Francis of Assisi. And at the same time, I had great aunties that out of sheer boredom, they didn't even need the money. They were just bored, would sell the lottery tickets at 3 o'clock, throughout the week. So this, I wouldn't say that it was, it was kind of living in, I wouldn't even say living in the gray, in as much as living in different shades of rainbow of what spirituality and the practicality of spirituality was like. And again, yeah. And raised in Panama, I knew that I didn't want to be an alcoholic like my father. Okay. I still remember waking him up, throwing cold water from a plastic Tupperware bowl on his face just so I could use the restroom because he was passed out in the restroom. So I know I didn't want that. And in Panamanian culture, they will accept a drunk 20 times over before, God forbid, somebody were to take drugs, which again, the entire country was made out of white gold. Okay. Like, okay. It's like the idea of, Pablo Escobar and everybody else going through in Panama. Are you kidding me? And then you want to say that, there's no drugs in our family. Are you really? Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Give me a
right.
break. Okay. So fast forward, I'm now 18 years old and I am back in the US, ASU student. And I do have this thing where it's like, God, I know you exist. There's no doubt I have been able to live through things that I shouldn't have. Okay. But I got through it. I know that you exist, but who are you? I don't think that you're, I don't think that I am he. I'm the Alpha and Omega. Okay, great. I don't think you're just letters. I don't think that, you're just this ephemeral something or other. Who are you? All of us must have something. And on the way to sociology class, somebody dressed in, what I saw as an orange sherbet creamsicle, like you said earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
It stopped me out of nowhere and I couldn't shake him off. So I gave him my last $5 and he gave me a Bhagavad Gita. Now I can say that it was a Bhagavad Gita. I couldn't even say the B word. I just could read
Oh my
as it
gosh, me
is.
too. I think it was like years. I was like, what? How do you even pronounce that? Like,
Right.
I don't. Yeah.
Right. So, and again, like I told you, and prior to this, it's like the first time that I saw this book, I'm like, who is this zombie being able to travel this chariot? Because again, who is black and blue and standing straight up? That's a zombie. Okay.
Yeah, of
So
course. That's what our conditioned mind would think immediately. That's what I thought. I was like, this is creepy. Like, I didn't even know. Like, yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, this is the way that it is. But the moment that I did, read the book, had so many questions, walk into the temple, the smells of incense, seeing deities at the front, weird outfits that make no sense to nobody. I'm like, okay, so this is like Catholic Church. The only thing, the only thing that I don't understand is why is everybody
Men
dancing
in
around this bush
skirts.
in the middle? Okay.
And men in skirts and towels. What is this?
Okay, this looks like
Yeah.
my Uncle Aníbal. Big deal. Okay. Uncle Aníbal Indian edition. Big deal. Okay. And that same night when I tasted, they had 68 preps for Holy Festival. And that was the first time that I'm like, oh my goodness, if there's so many preps to be able to eat so wonderfully and not kill something, I'm in. And wait a minute, you just told me that the zombie dude, I am Krishna. That's how you say that, Krishna. And I probably am not saying it right according to some Indians because I don't know how to do the Krish, but I'm Krishna. But it means all attractive. And that made sense to me. All attractive, because if we're all from him, just like a magnet, we'd be able to come back in. The problem is that,
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
finish.
No worries. The problem is that my addiction of choice, my coping mechanism for all of the soul eating stuff, okay, for that God size hole, for that Krishna size hole of people pleasing, of bending over backwards like a pretzel and not having my own boundaries, where my dad was using alcohol, where, you know, some other people use some other things. My thing was, my coping mechanism was food.
Mm.
And it really hit me hard, or better said, it hit me hardest right before the pandemic. Right before the pandemic. It was another life situation where I'm inside of a center. It's called the Women's Foundation here in Phoenix, where they help women. And I used to go there because, you know, getting out of an abusive relationship, getting through Krishna consciousness, trying to act like the perfect devotee in a temple. I can go ahead and act perfect as long as you don't put the halva plate in front of me, and that's when I become an entire beast, just to, you know, shoveling it inside of my mouth. But I
love you
remember,
for that. I love you for that honesty, and I love you for being so vulnerable. This is so inspiring for other people. You know, it's you know, a lot of us in recovery and in bhakti, we find the same. You know, it's like so many of us have the same reactions, and you know, and you're talking about it. So thank you for that.
you're welcome. I'm only walking along the path of this safe space because you helped create it. It's Bhakti
Thank you.
Recovery Group because I was, I've been in anonymous programs before, but to be able to be in an anonymous program where we do have the Maha Mantra, where we do say that the principle of anonymity, and that's the only way that I was able to do some of my healing, was because there was a space that I could be myself, and I didn't have to give this pretense of perfect. I could be imperfect. I could be me. And that
So how
includes my ugly parts.
so how did that play out into your Krishna conscious life? Because I know that you had been married twice,
Mhm.
and I know you're a people pleaser, and
In recovery, in recovery.
yeah, of course, sorry, a recovering people pleaser, and um, so you know, I think, and this has been a topic over and over again, no matter where I go, and I want to ask you about your opinion on this. So, and I've been talking about this with a lot of people. So there are certain cultural things that a devotee lives um, through Vedic culture and through just, you know, what a devotee does, what, you know, the roles are for men and for women, and, you know, and then it goes like deeper. And
Mhm.
we don't need to get into all of that now. I think anyone who's living this would know. So when there's a disharmonic deficit, or let's say you have a woman, I'm just going to take the regular roles here. You have a
Sure.
woman who wants to be chaste, who wants to be a really good devotee, and really, really is, you know, growing into that role, and really sincerely wants to do that for whatever reason. And then you have a man, and I'm just generalizing here. I'm not saying that
Mhm.
this is the movement. I'm saying this can happen, and it has happened. Then
All
you have
right.
a man who is also wanting to be a devotee the best they can, but they don't understand. They both don't really understand what that means. And then you have the man using that culture against that woman, saying, you
Mm.
know, I'm justified to, you know, that they're not understanding the scripture properly, you know, and using that against the woman. And it just becomes this horrible dynamic
Absolutely.
of people trying to be good devotees, first of all, in this age of Kali. And if you understand, you know, our Vedic scriptures, this age of Kali, it's very difficult for us to even have a drop of understanding what that really means. You know, everything that we're doing is in its unpure form.
Right.
So how was that experience for you? Did you experience some of that in your devotee life?
Some of that.
I was just,
uh, so
cueing you.
right, right. It's like, thank you for throwing that softball into the hard cesspool of my life. No, it it if anything, so there's a couple of things here that there's no way around it. I first and foremost a person that when it comes to relationships, first there's some unwritten contracts, and even when you were saying how people in the movement, you know what it is. Actually, unfortunately, we don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. This is a 50-year-old movement that we ended up getting from one guy coming from Bengal who knew that came from turn of the century. Okay, like he, with Menon and seeing India wanting to become its own individual state, Victorian English colonialism coming to hippies that were already leery of authorities, and then translating.
That is quite the combination.
Again and again, even just and God, Krishna knows that there is even the argument of do not change Prabhupada's words. It's like, dude, I've got the subtitles going on right now, and I definitely had it for the first decade of being a devotee because I had no idea what he was saying. Okay, when I was reading the books, he sounded like Vincent Price in my head until I ended up seeing the actual videos. Okay, so here I'm thinking that he sounds like this, and then all of a sudden I hear, I'm like, oh Lordy, I'm so grateful for subtitles. And then I found out that the subtitles were wrong too. So there's multiple layers of issues here. One was the idea of the philosophy, and even of you saying right now, this is Kali Yuga. Jiva, fast forward, and that's a good thing. You don't even have to flip through the pages that devotees 50 years ago were waiting for the Macmillan to print out and then hope and pray. No, we can Control F, go on Google, and see that this is not just Kali Yuga. This is Danya Kali Yuga. Danya Kali Yuga. This is the most merciful.
Advanced. Oh,
yes.
Okay,
yeah, the most merciful. Because in this moment that we are of imperfection, even demigods pray where we are, because in our imperfect selves, we are still able to catch a glimpse of devotees who understand it and then follow them. And as long as we're a servant of the servant of the servant, dasanudas, we can get connected to that bond of love. Beautiful. And again, it's love. What is God? God is love. God is all attractive in his love, in his sweetness. So when let's go ahead and use that hypothetical, let's go with the hypothetical idea of a man controlling a woman of, you don't understand what is being said. It's like,
because you're less intelligent, that's what they'll use, the women
right,
is less
because you're less intelligent. And that one razzes me, because again, throughout the years, nobody, even this past week, 2 weekends ago.
Well, your experience, what was your experience with that?
Like, in my
in your marriages and in your relationships, how was that for you? Because I think a lot of people have different experiences.
They do, but unfortunately, there's some running themes that you can copy paste, because somehow these guys are reading the same playbook. So first and foremost,
with the false understanding, we have to.
Very much so. So first and foremost is the false understanding of what the scriptures say. And it's Danya Kali Yuga. And we're following Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he is actually embedded with Radharani's mercy, her mercy. Okay. So she is topmost yogi, intelligent, following Krishna. So if somebody goes ahead and says, oh, it's like women can't be intelligent, I'm like, as far as I understand, my boss's boss is Srimati Radharani. And you can't tell me she's not intelligent. In fact,
Of
as far
course.
as it, yeah, and the
She's
way
the
that my
most
kids say it,
intelligent.
the most. And
Mhm.
and the way that my kids say it is like, Krishna's a total simp. Yes, he is. He's a total simp for the Radharani. And it is that lack of knowledge, or better said, the withholding of knowledge. Because it's just because I always love the saying, common sense is not common because everybody has it. It's common because it's readily available.
Oh, I love that. Which
Okay.
goes perfectly for this interview that I just, or not
Right.
an interview. I just heard something with Radna Swami
Right.
talking about common sense not being common, not
Right.
being so common. So that's great.
Right.
I love
And
that. Right.
but
I love
again,
that.
it's
Say it
it's
again.
not right. Common sense is not common because everybody has it. It's common because it's readily available. So just like everybody would say, oh, it's Kali Yuga. No, no, no. For me, in my life, in this body right now, this is Danya Kali Yuga. It's not like all the other yugas, all the other Kali Yugas that are happening. This is Danya Kali Yuga because we actually had Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. On top of that, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of the reasons that he came was to taste Radharani's bhav, to taste Radharani's mood. And Radharani is a she. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that the only reason that we even pay attention to the simp is because Radharani pays attention to him. That's why we're called Gaudiya Vaishnava. Gaudiya, golden. Krishna's not golden. It's our girl. It's our girl that's golden. And then when it comes to a man and a woman, first and foremost, this is a relationship that has unwritten contracts. A relationship has the unwritten contracts of trust, of respect, of love. But when one thinks that they can be able to control the other because they hold the power, they hold the knowledge, that's no longer love.
That's
And
Power
in
Rangers right there.
it's Power Rangers, and we can go
It's
right,
horrible.
right,
He-Man.
right. And again, the saying is that and I can be able to say this because my husbands were narcissists. Okay.
Mm.
And of course it sounds, trend worthy and everything. It's like, oh, everybody's a narcissist. No, 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 no. There can be people that are vain, and narcissist personality disorder. Yeah, that's in the DSM. That's one thing. But just like there is a personality, like that person is bubbly, that person is shy, that person is like this, there is a personality of that person is narcissistic.
Yes.
And how and beyond low level narcissism, that is vanity. Listen, okay. Narcissism goes on the dark triad of
Well,
power.
it's the what? Yes, and it's
Yeah.
also it's the step right before being a psychopath.
Sociopath. Sociopath.
Sociopath. Sorry. Yes,
Sociopath.
thank
Yeah.
you.
So
Sociopath.
it's all right. It's okay. It a lot again. It unfortunately again also readily available is a lot of this information, and it's very easy to get it convoluted.
Yeah. No, I
The
just was for
yeah.
me just
Right, right.
a
No
term
worries.
mistake. But anyway, go ahead. So
It's okay. So and again, a psychopath doesn't know the difference between right and wrong in society, and they just do whatever they feel. A sociopath knows what's wrong and right in society and
does it
doesn't
anyway.
care.
Yes, just does it anyway.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Which makes me almost a sociopath.
no worries. So
I'm only
fast
kidding.
forward. Yeah. So fast forward in my life. Just like there is, like a magnet has a positive and a negative, the yin and yang. If there is a narcissist, there must be a codependent bending over backwards, and they're the opposite sides of the same coin. The opposite sides of the same coin of upholding an illusion. upholding an illusion on the idea of
never
love.
getting that fulfilled, and never bending over
Mm-mm.
backwards, like you said, doing twister, doing this, and never ever able to please, but always in the moving forward of pleasing, 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 and never really, and getting little treats here and there to
Mhm.
just be enough, and then the chastising,
Right.
So
And welcome to trauma bonding. Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
That's and that happens simply because I was raised, again, in the culture that I was raised. Okay. Not only as a woman, I have been told since knee high to a grasshopper, make sure that everybody has something to drink. You are responsible for your little brother. You are the last one to name issue here because you're meant to take care of everybody else and then whatever I want to do.
Right.
My needs, my wants, dead last. And because I knew that, I coped with food. I coped with food. And at 2019, I still remember it. I was ready, what are we talking about? 5 years ago. I was in the women's.
2019 was 5 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Holy moly. It seems like it was like last year.
Exactly, right? Things keep spinning. So inside of this relationship that I had, me being the codependent and being knocked down again. Okay. And of course, the temple, they're not trained to do proper counseling. So they're like, and neither was my husband's pastor at that point. And they're like, divorce is of the devil. And I'm like, I'm already in divorce number 2. Oh my God, I'm gonna be one of those Hare Krishnas with, that feel like Pokemon, collect them all these different marriages. No, thank you. Okay. So here I am trying to be extra submissive while I'm also figuring out makeup tips to hide the bruises. And I slipped in the kitchen hiding the broken glasses with my hair, and the temple and the pastor saying divorce is of the devil. This is your karma. Just keep holding it. At least if you keep withholding it, at least you're not binding your eyes, and that your husband is not blind, so you're not binding your eyes as well.
Wow. That's a very, very complex ground that we're touching on now. And
It is.
especially looking at it from a pure point of view, sticking with the process, but also not, but it's like they say, this world anyway is like the mirrored image of what a spiritual world is. It's the perverted part of it. It's
Right.
the upside down reflection
Not
in
just
a
the upside
perverted
down,
way.
and it's the upside down reflection in many ways, because again, whatever the Krishna does is sweet. Even if a person is crying in Golak Vrindavan, it's sweet because it's just connecting with the separation and the mood that I'm going to see my love again. But in this case, the hole that I was building within myself was just getting bigger because I was making peace at the cost of myself, breaking down my own identity, accepting that I needed to be the quote unquote perfect devotee, the perfect mother, the perfect wife, and keeping up the illusion that we had a perfect marriage and a happy one. And then how lonely it felt when nobody believed me on the truth. And that nobody was there. Nobody was there when I was missing from the temple 1 weekend, 2 weekends, that I didn't get a call. one thing that Bhakti Recovery Group did, I went ahead and missed a meeting last week because I'm in the middle of my black belt training in Six Sigma
Ooh.
in business, not it's business,
Yes.
right? But I'm bettering myself, and thanks to the 12 steps, one of the things, being honest, being open-minded, being willing. The moment I got honest with myself in 2019, that when yet another bad thing happened, that I was not going to find happiness at the bottom of this ice cream bowl. And I actually even looked at the ice cream in disgust, because I knew that whether it's the first spoon or the 30th spoon hitting the bottom of that bowl, I was still going to be angry. I was still going to be hurt. I still needed a solution. And in no way I felt Golok Vrindavan, that somebody was loving me, or that I was loving myself. And at that point, that's when I realized, okay, I'm going to go. That does it. I don't care what happens. Just like I said, Krishna, I have this question. I'm like, okay, Krishna, I need a solution. Where do I go? And I found a Overeaters Anonymous meeting in Spanish, okay, in the middle of like 30 miles from my house, okay? So when I did that, I could be able to compare and contrast Bhakti Recovery, where we do say the Mahamantra, where we do come with the understanding that it was in Bhakti Recovery Group that I finally understood Krishna loves me just the way that I am. I don't need to feel ashamed. I don't need to feel the blame of everybody else. The idea that I failed, quote unquote, failed in my second marriage. And I say quote unquote because it's only a failure if I didn't learn. And I did learn. I learned that I am worthy to be an equal. In fact, in our history of Gaudiya Vaishnav history, we have had female gurus. Janava Devi, Nityananda Prabhu's wife. We've had Ganga Mata, also a female guru.
Yeah, I was actually at that temple
Yeah.
The other day here in Mayapur.
Right. But somehow in our movement, that hasn't been explained too well. In fact, there's songs to Janava Devi.
Oh, we'll put that in the show notes.
Right.
If you can find them, just send
Oh
them
yeah.
to me and I'll put them in the
Yeah,
show
absolutely.
notes.
Yeah. And even the Vaishnavi ministry, can you imagine that it only took, I don't know, in the last 12 months, that there was finally a leadership, 50 leaders did take training about child protection and women's rights last year, 2023. Okay. And no, here's the kicker. Out of all of these 54 North American centers, only two were part of the child protection pilot program.
We have to do better.
No.
We have to do better. We just have to do better. That's why we're here.
Right.
That's why we're here. That's
Right.
why we are here. Because we can't expect someone to make it better. We have to make it better for ourselves. That's why we take responsibility. And yes, we can do both at the same time. Speak of what people don't want to speak of, with what's wrong and what can be fixed.
Right.
And help ourselves to heal. And I think this could be the very, the Bhakti Recovery Group and maybe others who are striving for stuff like that, or maybe it's really time for that now, you know.
Right. And
And
there's,
you being here is such a service. It's a service for that. You speaking out your experience, strength, and hope is such a service. It's the biggest service. If we all just sweep it under the carpet and don't speak about how we things happened, how we tolerated, how we went through things and tried to spiritually make sense of them, and go to people who are not qualified. I don't mean by degrees, but just not qualified to handle that part of spiritual growth,
that's
you
right.
know. And it breeds it breeds closing your eyes and your ears, and nobody really wants to deal with that.
Yes.
Well, I can't say nobody, but a lot of people don't.
No, and you're absolutely right. And it's not, I'd almost, and again, making
It's
this a
time.
place of truth. It is time. My 2024 word of the year is reckoning. Okay. Is reckoning. And that includes me being honest of where I am. And fast forward, thanks to that 2019 Overeaters Anonymous, I followed that sheet that technically was outlawed since 1986, but I didn't know any better. Okay. And I lost 70 pounds. 70 pounds with that. How do you bowl? And again, that's a insidious part about this addiction, about food addiction, that where I lost 70 pounds and people are saying, hey, you know, some people that didn't know me, hey, you look great. But at the same time, when I would go into the temple, all of a sudden the Matajis, the same Matajis that they saw me hanging out with their husbands, that, you know, we'd sing kirtan together and all that type of stuff. When I was a chunky big girl, not a problem. We were all doing kirtan. All of a sudden I lost 70 pounds. Like they pop out of nowhere. Everything okay, Mataji? Are you okay, Mataji? Let me get in between you and the person that is handing the mic over to you. And it was all of these types of petty jealousies and stuff like that that I had no support in my health. And it's health, again, which was not healthy, because it was such a distinct plummet. And following that gray sheet, my nails became brittle. My hair started falling out. Okay. Oh, yeah. And again, when I got to this level of quote unquote good looking, and
So we're talking about the outside stuff here. I was talking more when I said yay, I meant the inside job of having, you know, working a program. But if the program is detrimental, that's not a good program.
That program was detrimental. But in Bhakti recovery, I call this my round two. Because in Bhakti, it's true. Because in round two, round one, I was able to food journal and think, okay, I'm following my meal plan. I'm not going to eat. I'm crying in tears because here I'm looking at 24 scaled ounces of peas that I need to eat. Again, that sheet was outlawed in 1986 for a reason. Okay. That being said, that round one allowed me to pay attention to how I was an emotional eater. And it allowed me to become emotionally sober. Okay. And emotionally sober does not mean emotionally avoidant. Because again, I've seen too many people in our movement which take it as like, oh, well, we're spiritual, we're, you know, para duka duki, everything is well. No. All emotions are valid. Even Krishna got angry. Lord Ram got angry. Radharani got angry. Everybody, you know, every single emotion is valid. Every single one. And if you deny one feeling, okay, and yes, that includes lust. If you deny any feeling, you're doing a domino effect to affect all other feelings, going to
Hallelujah.
emotionally numb.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So,
true. So true.
right.
Well,
So
that's been
round,
my experience as well. So yeah.
right. So so round two. And yes, I have regained a lot of that weight back. And I'm so happy that
You look
this is
beautiful.
only a sound recording. All right.
No, you're beautiful. You're so beautiful. Like I don't even want to, like, let's not even go there. Like
But
you
and
look healthy, you look beautiful, you know.
I look like I'm gonna pop the button off of these jeans. Okay. But
No, stop that.
girl. But what I can tell you is this round two, thanks to Bhakti Recovery, because of listening to everybody, how we say that there's a God-sized hole, right?
Mm,
I realized this, like, wait a minute, let's do the math here. God is love. So if it's a God-sized hole, it's a love-sized hole.
oh, absolutely.
And as a codependent, I was trying to fill that love with everything else. And
Love.
this, okay, everything else but love.
Love.
And right. And the first thing that I didn't realize is, like, how, even Jesus was saying, love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay, cute. But if I don't know how to love myself, how on earth am I going to love my neighbor? Okay. So in this case, even the food sponsor, even my sponsor that I have this go around said, maybe you're not ready for the meal plan. Just food journal and love what you see. And this is the first time that I'm learning to love myself. It's like, no, it's not a restriction. I'm loving myself. And again, being open and honest, because that's what I need to do for my healing. Okay. I cried when I went to the nutritionist, and I'm like, I'm already doing 16 ounces of tofu. I'm doing this. I'm still fatigued. I'm still not getting there. And he told me, okay, I'm sorry to tell you, but at this point, with your lifestyle, the way that you're doing, you're going to have to introduce eggs. And when I told it into the Bhakti Recovery, and again, outside of this space between devotees, anybody else is like, eggs and what else? But as a devotee, after 20 years, almost 24 years, that the doctor, the nutritionist is looking at me, is like, okay, you're not going to do fish, you're not going to do chicken, you're not going to do steak, oh, you're going to have to do eggs. And I cried. But I also know that I had to do that for my health. And yes, I can finally, you can see my nails. They're not breaking. They're not breaking. But I broke myself following a rigid plan. I did not know how to love myself. I did not have the community to love me as I am, being imperfect. And in Bhakti Recovery, the not just the sponsor, not just hearing everybody else's stories that they understand of, oh my goodness, it is, it's after it's the noon arti and all this fried stuff. But more important than anything else was when Krishna bless him, it's can I say the name of the one that's running the Overeaters Anonymous, or no? I don't know how it works.
No, just do it
No.
anonymously, because I don't
Okay.
know if he wants to be outed.
That's fine. And that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
But what I
good on you.
right. That's one of the principles, anonymity. And that includes the leaders. So, and then again, thank you.
Look,
Thank
he's
you,
pretty
Jiva, for
amazing.
he's beyond amazing. He
Oh my
reached
God,
out. He reached out
oh,
because I missed last week. And he's like, are you okay? To know that I'm supported. The egg eater is supported.
You know, the
Yeah.
thing is, this is all, and this is why the Bhakti Recovery Group is open to everybody. We would never say, you eggs, you can't come here. This is ridiculous. If you, anybody, we are all on the same path, no matter what that looks like, or no matter where anyone is at the time in life, for whatever decisions they make, for whatever reasons that they make them, whether they're great decisions, whether they're not great decisions, in my stupid opinion, which is not saying much. We respect everyone for where they're at that moment. It is pure acceptance and pure love. And that's all. From any mott, from anyone who wants to accept Krishna in their lives, even if you don't want to accept Krishna in your life and you just want recovery and you find it, the Bhakti Recovery Group, if you're okay with saying the word Krishna and the Maha Mantra, you're welcome. Everybody is welcome in our meetings,
That's
no
right.
matter where you're at, period. And that's how it should be, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, look at Prabhupada. Look what he did. It's like half the people were like tripping their face off when they were in the temple or whatever at the time, and he's like welcome to everybody. He didn't say, get out of here, like, so.
That's
Yeah.
right. Jadurani Shamarani Didi, she was high on LSD, super high on LSD, the first time that she met Prabhupada. And
Yeah,
that's
there
and
you
that
go.
and that's written. That's in her memoir. She wrote it.
The thing is, when I was doing it, I did an interview with her that you set up, and I had absolutely no idea who she was. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll just interview this woman. So I didn't even use that interview, and we're going to set up another one because now I know who she is. And I was super embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know who you were. She's just such an amazing devotee. So I'm going to have to prepare for that one next time.
Yes, she also she accepted me to be able to be under her guidance, but more important,
Oh,
um, that way I can ask her the tough questions. At the same time, the toughest question that I had always forgotten to ask is, how can I love myself in my relationship with Krishna? And I'm finally doing that
mm.
in this round too. And that's
Say it
thanks to
again.
you.
Say that one more time. Say it
Well, I
one
got
more time.
ADHD. I got ADHD. I forgot what I said already. But in this, but let me see if I recall.
How
Somebody
do I
rewind
love
it.
myself?
Yeah, in round two, it's how do I love myself within this relationship with Krishna?
There you go. That's the title right there. That's the title. I love it. So this has been an amazing interview. I'm so happy. I mean, it's not even an interview. I don't do interviews. I don't even like that word. It's so official. We do talks, like we hang and we talk about things that just, either our stories and then wherever it brings us. And I think this has been really amazing. What do you think?
I think that I'm blessed to know you and that I can call you my soul sister from another mister.
Hello. Happy So what would you recommend for people who have been in similar experiences than you? And what would you say to people who are really looking for that love and who are struggling with certain compulsive behaviors, or, what?
To be absolutely honest with you, and again, now that I've, yeah, I do have my degree in international business, and yes, pivoted my career into as a licensed hypnotherapist. One of the things
Are
that
you
really,
kidding? You're a
oh yeah,
hypnotherapist? You're a
licensed hypnotherapist. Yeah, yes,
you're
ma'am.
like licensed. Check that, chick. I'm licensed. All
Not
right,
just,
we're talking.
oh yeah,
We gotta talk. We gotta talk. All right, go ahead.
yes,
Sorry.
ma'am. And I've been able to work with quite a few people to take decades worth of panic attacks and sleep disorders, you name it. you know, find my website. I'll send you my website. The bigger thing here is that what surprised me, again, the look of absolute shock in my face when I was in the Bhakti recovery group and in the ACA meeting, they have the Loving Parent Guidebook, which is an ACA book, that the methods and exercises that are inside of the Loving Parent Guidebook that is being done through ACA in Bhakti Recovery Group as we speak right now has, it has exercises that I got trained and charged to do with clients. And doing it in Bhakti Recovery is at the cost of zero. All that is needed is to show up and follow along. It's the exact same questions. Okay. It is the, of course, we got some different flares and stuff like that, but it is the exact same format. And it even brought me to look further into it. I did not know until I was into the, Bhakti Recovery and the anonymous groups. Did you know that the famous psychologist Carl Jung was an alcoholic and helped write the Big Red Book?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
I know
you
this,
know,
yes. Oh,
I
sorry,
didn't
yeah.
know. And then to
Yeah.
make it even more fun, I'm reading these other books and the other iterations. And again, within the books of, the 12 traditions and all this. And it says that all of these editions have been done throughout the years. And I'm going through the Loving Parent Guidebook. You can go on Amazon, find it, at your closest anonymous store. The Loving Parent Guidebook, if for whatever reason you cannot get to a therapist, use the book, journal everything in there, and then go to therapy and bring it to the therapist and say, here, this is what I've already done.
That's
Start
nice.
from
like
here.
That's so amazing. Wow. Thank you for that. So, as much as I'd love to talk to you forever and ever, we talked like an hour before we even did the interview. So we're doing a part 2, girl. And if you're down with that, we're doing a part 2.
Only after you do the part 2 with Shamarani Didi, now that you know who she is.
Yeah, that's gonna be I'm like kind of quivering in my shoes from that one.
Don't
She
be.
is such a humble being. She's the most
amazing.
humblest being. She didn't even take offense that I had no idea who she was. She was like, and then like at the end of the interview, she's like, the paintings in the Bhagavad Gita, that was, like I painted those, and so I was like, what, excuse me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Nrsingadev painting that everybody has. Yeah, that's the one that she was on top of Prabhupada's bed just to get the more details. That's her. I'm glad that you can reach out to her, and
and that's through you. She's quite she's a quite special soul.
Just
In
quite
speaking
special.
with her, I noticed that right away, and then when I started digging in a little bit to her story, I was like, okay, this interview cannot be used. Only not because because it wasn't used to the best of its ability. Getting all that nectar from her. So
I might have to send you her memoir to I'll send you her link. It's so her memoir is give me one second, the art.
Yeah, the art of, I think she had told me that once, but we should put this in the show notes as well.
Right. It's The Art of Spiritual Life. Wow, that's her. Okay. And it is amazing. You think that you know the story behind the paintings, and then you read it. And the beautiful thing about this, there's The Art of Spiritual Life. She also made another well, it's a limited edition book, but in The Art of Spiritual Life, you can actually see the sketches of these famous paintings and how it was brought upon. And more important is the story and the amazing, heartbreaking things that she went through. She was the second female disciple of Prabhupada. She was second only to Yamuna. And where she doesn't sing, her paintings are the window to the spiritual world. It was thanks to her paintings that I realized, God, you do have a name. I know what you look like now.
Wonderful. Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much. And we are doing a part 2. Hare Krishna.
Part 2. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
This concludes another episode. Thanks for listening. In order for me to serve this community to the best of my ability, I welcome feedback. Please write your feedback at bhaktirecoverypodcast@gmail.com. That's bhaktirecoverypodcast@gmail.com. Also, please don't forget to follow and give us a 5-star rating. Share this with family and friends. If you'd like to join our Bhakti Recovery community or just find out what we're all about, please visit our website at www.bhaktirecoverygroup.com. That's www.bhaktirecoverygroup.com. There are no dues or fees, and we meet daily. If you or someone you know is struggling with addictions and/or associated behaviors, you will find links in our show notes to various 12-step programs. Nobody seeking recovery need ever be alone again.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.